I woke up one morning and discovered I'd grown an extra breast. Okay, maybe breast is generous. It was more like a persistent, fleshy lump tucked away near my armpit. Still, terrified it was something sinister, I made a beeline for the hospital. And the doctor assigned to my case? Young, handsome, and distractingly competent. Trembling slightly, I sat down opposite him. He tilted his head, that sharp, sculpted jawline catching the light. Honestly, he bore a striking resemblance to a certain boyish movie star, which, bizarrely, offered a small sliver of comfort in my panic. Clutching my chest, all three parts, my hands shaking, I managed to choke out, "Doctor, you have to save me." He glanced at me, his expression calm, professional. "All right. First, take off your shirt." Despite my mortal terror, I hesitated, my double chin quivering slightly. "Doctor, could we perhaps negotiate? Maybe just peek through the t-shirt sleeve?" He blinked, clearly taken aback. Probably a first, hearing such a bizarre request. Seeing his confusion, I elaborated, "Look, full disclosure, I've been single for over 20 years. These girls," I gestured vaguely at my chest, "haven't exactly seen much company, if you know what I mean." His expression flickered with something, confusion? Amusement? He frowned slightly, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Take it off." I sighed dramatically. Reluctantly, I grasped the hem of my t-shirt and pulled it upwards. If I'd known undressing was mandatory, I would have at least worn a bra. It wasn't just modesty. His patient viewing history undoubtedly surpassed my number of rooms lived in history. My main concern was that my minimalist aesthetic might scar him for life. He seemed unprepared. As the t-shirt came off, he froze, a flicker of surprise crossing his features. I couldn't tell if it was the lack of a bra or the sheer unexpectedness of my pectoral landscape that shocked him. After a few seconds, he regained his composure, looking sternly professional again. "Why aren't you wearing a bra?" "Well, the shirt was off now. Might as well own it." I threw my shoulders back. Small and proud. Doing my part for textile conservation. His expression twitched. Those perfect eyebrows furrowed slightly. He shot me a look that screamed, "Definitely the most difficult patient today." He placed his cool hands on my chest, gently palpating the area, including the offending lump and its two companions. Awkward? Absolutely. But also, surprisingly comforting? With my upper body liberated, my inhibitions seemed to fly out the window too. As he focused on the examination, head bowed slightly in concentration, I couldn't help chattering nervously. "Doctor, I Googled it. I think it's probably an accessory breast, you know, will it affect my future life?" "Doesn't look like it," he murmured, still probing gently. "But I'd recommend a CT scan just to be sure." "If it's harmless, can I keep it?" He looked up, utterly baffled, eyes wide with disbelief. I patiently explained my rationale. "Look, I'm not exactly well endowed to begin with. Now that I've finally grown this extra bit, I'm kind of reluctant to just cut it off. If it's not dangerous, I really want to keep it. Think how happy my future husband will be. 3 for the price of 2. He stared at me, his expression slowly morphing into one you might reserve for explaining complex concepts to a golden retriever. He pinched the bridge of his nose. "Go get the CT scan. Come back afterward, and we'll review it." "Thank you, doctor," I chirped, turning to leave. "Wait." "Yes." I spun back around. He pointed towards the chair I'd just vacated. "Put your shirt back on first." The scan itself was uneventful. Armed with the films, I returned to his department. He was just saying goodbye to a patient, a new mother practically overflowing with maternal abundance. Great. Nothing like immediate comparison to boost one's confidence. Flat is the new black, I reminded myself fiercely. With my stunning good looks, large breasts would just be overkill. I sat down opposite him again, handing over the large envelope. He rubbed his temples, looking slightly pale. His reaction sent a flicker of unease through me. I took a deep breath. "Okay, document, lay it on me. I can take it." "Well," he frowned, studying the images, his expression turning serious, almost stunned. "What is it? Is it a tumor?" My voice squeaked. "Not a tumor," he confirmed, "but it's not an accessory breast either." He cleared his throat. "I'm not quite sure how to tell you this." My stomach plummeted. Worse than a tumor? Was he about to ask me to call my family? This felt terrifyingly like a prelude to a terminal diagnosis. "Doctor," I said, Trying to keep my voice steady, just spit it out. We're looking at a medical scan, not deciphering spy codes, right? A faint smile touched his lips. He looked up, meeting my eyes directly. It's purely because you've gained weight. Gained weight? I echoed, dumbfounded. Yes, it's just fat. The smile in his eyes deepened, blooming into full-blown amusement. My face felt like it was spontaneously combusting. Being told I was fat by this impossibly handsome man? My inner goddess was deeply offended. Just wait till my hair grows long enough to strangle you, I thought darkly. Doctor, I countered haughtily, I'm not fat. I'm simply experiencing thermal expansion. He ignored me, holding up the film again, delivering the next blow. While that isn't an accessory breast, you do have some other issues. My forced bravado vanished. What? What's wrong? Is it serious? You have some hyperplasia in your left breast. In my mind, that was an old lady disease. How could I have it? But I'm only in my 20s. He adjusted his glasses, his expression professional again. It can occur in younger women too. So, what do I do? I looked at him pleadingly. In my panic, he suddenly seemed like the medical world's Tony Stark, my only hope. His eyes seemed to convey reassurance. I'm here, relax, I've got this. What he actually said was, it's moderately severe. You'll need regular checkups. Understand? I nodded thoughtfully. Oh, I get it. So, basically, I need to come back regularly for you to feel me up. He was taking a sip of water. The liquid went down the wrong way, and he coughed, eyes watering. Undeterred, I pressed on. Doctor, please, can I have your WeChat? I mean, someone needs to supervise my growth, right? The look he gave me finally confirmed it. He definitely did not think I was a normal human being. Through sheer persistence, okay, maybe some light begging and dramatic sighing, I finally extracted the young doctor's WeChat. ID, his username was simply his name, Dr. Leo Sterling. It suited him perfectly. Tall, elegant, like a sterling silver treant. The wind. He looked younger than me, with fine features, clear skin, radiating a clean, wholesome vibe that triggered an unexpected surge of maternal protectiveness in me. Pity my own support system was lacking. How could I possibly protect anyone else? But that didn't stop me. My chest might be lacking, but my wallet wasn't. On my next follow-up visit, I arrived armed with an arsenal of gourmet snacks and treats, ready to launch Operation Woo the Doctor. Sadly, he politely but firmly refused everything. Hospital regulations, he stated primly, we can't accept gifts from patients. Oh, come on, doctor. Just take it. It's just a small token of my appreciation. Please, don't. What is it you really want? I just want to be your friend. I beamed, deploying my most charming smile. He remained unmoved, his expression guarded. We have a doctor-patient relationship. That's all. I gave a serene little smile. That's okay. It's summer. We're bound to warm up to each other eventually. Ignoring my comment, Dr. Sterling began the checkup. This didn't deter my running commentary. Doctor, even though the hyperplasia is only on the left side, could you maybe check the right side too? You know, just to be thorough. He raised a perfect eyebrow, confusion clear in his eyes. I grinned cheekily. Well, if you only focus on the left, I'm worried it might get overly stimulated and grow bigger. Then they won't be symmetrical anymore. He shook his head slowly, a look of weary resignation crossing his face. You look so young, so innocent, but... He trailed off, apparently struggling for words. I helpfully finished his sentence. Oh, I used to be innocent, doctor. Now, I'm mostly just... I paused for effect, insatiable. Leo Sterling looked utterly defeated. He withdrew his hands. Go see the nurse for an infusion. Anti-inflammatories. Trying to get me to meekly follow orders? Not happening. I tugged lightly on the sleeve of his white coat, putting on my most pathetic expression. Doctor, getting in 4 drip all alone. It's so pitiful. Where's your family? I sighed dramatically, letting my shoulders slump. My parents are divorced. They both have new families now. I don't want to bother them. Leo hesitated, his gaze softening noticeably. He nodded curtly, then turned and walked towards the door. Dr. Sterling, where are you going? I called after him, injecting a hopeful note into my voice. A moment later, his faint chuckle drifted back. You said you needed someone to take you for your infusion, didn't you? Well, come on then. True to his word, the kind-hearted Dr. Sterling actually accompanied me to the infusion room. Being devastatingly handsome, he was clearly popular among the female patients. Smiles and greetings followed him everywhere. As he sat with me while the dripped, several women gathered around, chattering brightly, their adoration practically palpable. I, consequently, became the target of numerous pointedly curious and slightly hostile glares. Honestly, it was rather gratifying for the ego. I sat up straighter, mentally preparing myself for the inevitable envious inquiries. Stay cool, Poppy, I told myself. Project Effortless Grace. They'll probably say, oh my, Dr. Sterling is being so attentive to you. You two must get married. Have you picked out the kindergarten yet? What? We just met. Or maybe, Dr. Sterling has such good taste. How far along are things? Are you living together already? Not exactly. Friendship boats might capsize easily, but love beds require careful navigation. Lost in these pleasant fantasies, I was jolted back to reality by a nearby patient's comment. Dr. Sterling, is this your auntie? You mentioned your aunt was sick and you needed to accompany her for treatment. Is this her? I nearly choked. Auntie? What the? Lady, you need to get your eyes checked. Seriously. Eventually, the admirers dispersed, leaving just Leo and me. The infusion took a while, and by the time it finished, I was starving, lightheaded even. He noticed. Are you hungry? His voice was surprisingly gentle. What would you like to eat? The hospital cafeteria has decent steamed buns. I could get you some. I almost blurted out yes, but caught myself. First impressions matter. Did I really want him to think I was a glutton? Oh, I couldn't possibly eat that much. Just a tea egg would be fine. Leo looked skeptical but nodded. All right then. By the time he returned with the single tea egg, the 4 was finished. As he handed it to me, I accidentally fumbled, dropping it onto the floor. Oops. I immediately bent down to retrieve it. My plan was simple, pretend to twist my ankle slightly while bending down, thus creating an opportunity for him to gallantly help me up. However, perhaps due to the prolonged lack of food or the extended performance time, as I straightened up, the room suddenly swam. My vision went black, my legs buckled, and I genuinely collapsed. Unfortunately, Leo was standing directly in front of me. My descent was abrupt, my face colliding squarely with, well, let's just say the area between his legs. The impact wasn't pleasant. For either of us. He let out a strangled gasp, sucking in air sharply, his face contorting through an impressive spectrum of colors. I remained face down, mortified, wishing the floor would swallow me whole. Digging a subterranean escape palace with my toes seemed like a viable option. I managed, my voice muffled. Did I hurt you? He took another deep, controlled breath, his voice strained. Just get up, please. No need to apologize quite so prostrately. What? Prostrating? I wasn't kneeling. I was sprawled. Trying to push myself up, a sharp pain shot through my right ankle. Oh great. In my attempt to fake an injury, I'd actually managed to sprain it for real. The irony was not lost on me. All that effort, ruined by a single tea egg. My sophisticated, alluring persona? Obliterated. My ankle? Definitely sprained. A legacy of egg-related disaster. With a genuinely injured ankle, I took a few days off work. Lying on my sofa on day 1, my thoughts kept circling back to Dr. Leo Sterling. Since meeting him, the word embarrassing had featured prominently in my life. Just as I was wallowing in self-pity, the doorbell rang. Assuming it was a delivery, I performed the startled invalid rising from sickbed routine, hopping awkwardly on one foot towards the door, hair sticking out at all angles. I flung the door open. Standing there, looking concerned, was Dr. Sterling himself. His handsome face broke into a warm smile. Feeling any better? Came to check on you. Without a word, I slammed the door shut in his face. Oh God. His first visit, and I looked like something the cat dragged in. Utterly hideous. You know that saying? Skip. Makeup one day, and it negates every other day you've ever worn it? That was me right now. Hopefully my haggard, makeup-free appearance hadn't traumatized him permanently. He'd caught me completely off guard, but emergency measures were required. 15 minutes later, freshly showered, made up and dressed in something reasonably presentable, I opened the door again. Seeing Leo's slightly bewildered expression, I felt a small measure of relief. Maybe my Beijing sweetheart persona wasn't entirely shattered. Ushering him inside, I finally asked, "How did you know where I live?" "Your address was on your patient file," he replied, glancing around my apartment with open curiosity. "Why did you come all the way over here?" The question hung in the air. A handsome doctor showing up at a single female patient's home unannounced? Highly suspicious. Was this appropriate? My mind raced. He finally answered, his tone casual. "We live in the same apartment complex, you know." "We what?" I stared at him, shocked. This was an unexpected twist. "Yeah, just 2 buildings over. I only realized when I saw your address on the file." Just as my imagination started painting delightful scenarios of neighborly encounters, he punctured the fantasy. "Wow, your place is kind of messy." Damn it. I instinctively tried to block his view of the mountain of snack wrappers on my coffee table. "That's because you've never met a girl as brilliant, confident, and beautiful as me before," I retorted haughtily. Leo nodded thoughtfully. "If you're so brilliant, confident, and beautiful, how come you're still single?" Touché. Seeing my limited mobility, Dr. Sterling took it upon himself to tidy up my apartment and even cooked me lunch. And, annoyingly, he was a really good cook. But I remained suspicious. Was this genuine concern, or was he using my injury as an excuse to get closer? "Why are you being so nice to me?" I mumbled around a mouthful of delicious stir-fry. "Your ankle got hurt partly because of me," he said reasonably. "It's my responsibility to make sure you're okay. I'll help you apply the liniment later." TSK. Such a responsible, decent man. After I'd successfully refueled, perhaps a bit too successfully, he produced an array of medicinal rubs and sprays from his bag. Even though the sprain was entirely my fault, if he felt guilty and wanted to offer personal service, well, who was I to refuse? First time for everything. He gently placed my injured foot on his lap, then carefully began massaging the medicated oil onto the swollen area. As he focused on the task, head bowed, I took the opportunity to study him properly. Great skin, handsome features, incredibly gentle touch, good job. Definitely the type girls chased after. My heart started doing acrobatic flips, a feeling I hadn't experienced in years. Just as I was dissolving into a puddle of sentimentality, he finished, abruptly handing me some tissues. "Wipe off the excess yourself." "Oh, right. Typical man. Does the deed, then leaves you to clean up the mess." The next day, Dr. Sterling reappeared, this time bearing official-looking documents. "Just need your signature on these follow-up forms," he explained. A convenient excuse. Clearly, the man just wanted to see me. He handed me the pen with a perfectly professional air. As I scribbled my name, I thought, any other documents need signing? Maybe your household registration? I could sign the spouse section too? He probably wasn't lacking female attention. Me? Pretty average. This wasn't going to be easy. But damn it, I wanted to taste the bitterness of love's labors. Gazing at that perfect jawline, I couldn't resist teasing him. "Dr. Sterling, do you have a girlfriend?" "No." I scooted closer on the sofa, despite my injured ankle. "You're so handsome. How can you not have a girlfriend? It defies science." He didn't answer, but the hand applying liniment hesitated, and a faint pink crept up his neck. Interesting. Seeing him flustered was unexpectedly charming. In a world of smooth operators, his awkwardness was refreshing. "Really? No girlfriend?" I asked again, deliberately injecting a flirtatious lilt into my voice. "Really no. Dr. Sterling, you're incredibly handsome," I declared, channeling my inner seasoned flirt. His face turned crimson, like a boiled shrimp. He became so flustered he started rubbing the liniment onto the arch of my foot instead of the injured ankle. I should go make you lunch," he stammered, practically fleeing towards the kitchen. Watching his hasty retreat, I grinned. Nothing I enjoyed more than seeing a cool, composed god crumble. After my ankle injury, Dr. Sterling became a fixture in my apartment. Since he worked during the day, his house calls naturally shifted to the evenings. He probably knew more about my body's recent trauma than any other man alive. Besides actually dating, I wasn't sure how else the situation could possibly resolve. Yet, despite the proximity and his ministrations, we hadn't made any real romantic progress. This wouldn't do. Time for operation. Take charge. Tonight was another scheduled treatment session. By the time he arrived around 8, moonlight streaming through the window, I was ready. Full makeup applied, casually lounging as much as one can lounge with a sprained ankle. He blinked in surprise. At my transformation, he knelt down, as usual, to begin the massage. Gazing intently at his handsome face, my mind fixated on that jawline. Time to deploy the follow-up question. Dr. Sterling, I began softly, someone like me, am I your type? This time, anticipating another escape attempt, I swiftly looped my arm through his, anchoring him firmly. No running away tonight. He owed me an answer. Dr. Sterling did give me an answer. And that answer was no. Damn. His excuse was infuriatingly classic. He was currently completely focused on his career, with no time for relationships. He wanted to build his future and preferred the safety of being single. Seriously? As if dating me would somehow hinder his ability to save humanity, one patient at a time. I was speechless. After the rejection, I assumed stuffing my face would cure my bruised ego. But even after gaining back the weight I'd lost stressing over him, the feeling of disappointment lingered. That's when I realized, damn it, this time, I'd actually fallen for him. But I wasn't overly worried. We lived in the same complex. Opportunities would arise. Once my ankle healed enough to hobble, I ventured downstairs for some fresh air, escaping the confines of my apartment. The park was bustling, couples holding hands, people walking dogs. Spring was definitely in the air. The atmosphere practically reeked of sickeningly sweet romance. Only I seemed to be radiating the lonely fragrance of singledom. Lost in melancholic contemplation, I heard frantic barking. Turning instinctively, whoa. A large, unleashed dog was snarling aggressively at a small child who screamed in terror. The child's young mother tried desperately to shoo the dog away without success. Adrenaline surged. Injured foot or not, I hobbled over as fast as I could. Raising my good leg, I delivered a swift kick to the dog's flank, sending it yelping sideways. Unfortunately, I forgot about my still healing ankle. The impact sent jolts of pain up my leg, causing me to yelp too, hopping around clutching my foot. The dog, likely shocked by this unexpected counterattack, immediately lost its bluster, whimpering pitifully. An unbiased observer might have struggled to tell which one of us was the aggressor. Just then, the dog's owner arrived, an older woman who immediately started berating me. Why did you kick my baby boy? Your baby boy wasn't on a leash. I retorted hotly. And he was about to attack that child. What if he'd bitten him? The young mother hovered nearby, looking grateful but intimidated. Seeing the child still crying, I waved her away, telling her to take him home. My doggy has never needed a leash, the owner insisted shrilly. And he didn't actually bite anyone. You had no right to kick him. He didn't bite yet. It would have been too late then. Our standoff attracted a crowd. Hearing the situation, people started murmuring disapprovingly at the dog owner. Losing face, she promptly sat down on the ground and burst into tears, wailing about disrespectful youth. I rolled my eyes, turned to leave, but she grabbed at my arm. I instinctively slapped her hand away. As I turned again, something felt off. Scanning the crowd, my eyes locked onto a familiar figure standing amongst the onlookers, frowning disapprovingly. Leo Sterling. That incident blew over. A few days later, it was time for my next hospital checkup. Although he'd rejected me, I still wanted to see him. But pride demanded I maintain some dignity. Showing up at his clinic now felt complicated. Too eager? Too distant? After much internal debate, I decided to book an appointment with a different doctor in the same department, Dr. Crane. But as I sat in the waiting room, I couldn't help fantasizing about a chance encounter. Maybe he rejected me because of some hidden PTSD, some tragic backstory. Maybe seeing me again, looking wan and heartbroken, would make him realize his mistake. Okay, I was just daydreaming. But then, unbelievably, I did see him. He was just finishing with a young female patient, walking her to the door, smiling warmly, giving her advice about her diet. That warm smile, that attentive manner, it stung. He'd never been like that with me. Then he saw me. The warmth vanished, replaced by a cool politeness. Here for a checkup? I nodded mutely. And also to see you, my inner voice whispered. He glanced at the appointment screen above the door. You're seeing Dr. Crane. Well, I have other patients. Excuse me. Actually, I blurted out before he could turn away, it wouldn't be the worst thing if you saw me instead. Sorry, he replied smoothly, I'm busy. Dr. Crane is very capable. You should stick with her. A wave of disappointment washed over me. Still, as he turned to leave, I couldn't stop myself. But aren't you off duty today? How come you're here? He paused, turning back slightly. A colleague swapped shifts with me. He hesitated, then added, a hint of something unreadable in his eyes. You seem to keep close track of my schedule. Heat flooded my face. Maybe confessing had been a mistake. If I hadn't, maybe I could still be enjoying his personal service. Now, even getting a WeChat reply felt like a victory. Later, feeling dejected, I texted him under the guise of a medical question. He replied, but his tone was noticeably cooler, more distant than before. I felt utterly crushed. Aimless, listless, nothing held my interest. My best friend, Maya, seeing my mopey state, dragged me into volunteering for a community event. Her mom, conveniently, was the head of the neighborhood committee. My brief stint as the heroic dog kicker apparently made me prime volunteer material in their eyes. Fine, whatever. It wasn't like I had anything better to do. To my utter surprise, Dr. Leo Sterling was there too. What are you doing here? We asked simultaneously. Why shouldn't I be here? I retorted defensively. Respecting elders, caring for the young, traditional virtues. Leo gave me a cool look. Really? Couldn't tell. Before I could demand clarification, we were called over for assignments. The event involved visiting elderly residents in the community. I discovered Leo was a regular volunteer. Through some string pulling by Maya's mom, bless her meddling heart, Leo and I were paired together. Now, I suspected his excellent massage skills weren't just innate talent, they were honed through hours of practice on grateful senior citizens. He knew all the residents, chatted easily with them, did chores, gave massages, even remembered their specific aches and pains. My mind wandered, picturing him doing this for me when I was old, maybe occasionally checking my hyperplasia. Our last stop was, ironically, the home of the dog owner I'd clashed with. As we approached her door, I heard furious barking inside. But the moment she opened the door and saw me, the dog went silent, scrambling to hide behind her legs, trembling. Scared of me, huh? I muttered under my breath. Guess the trauma lingers. Leo shot me a warning glare. I clamped my mouth shut. Fine. You're handsome. You win. He'd briefed me on her situation beforehand. Seeing her in her own home, looking frail and lonely, my earlier antagonism melted away. Auntie, I began awkwardly about before. Before I could apologize, she waved a dismissive hand. No, it was my fault. I shouldn't have had him off the leash. Nearly got that. Child bitten. The committee spoke to me. We reached an understanding. Leo looked completely bewildered. What happened between you two? The volunteer work was exhausting. Afterward, I collapsed onto a nearby curb. A tall shadow fell over me. Starving? What do you want to eat? Leo's voice sounded warmer? Less guarded? My head snapped up. Huh. The sudden shift threw me off. Worked all day. You must be hungry, he repeated patiently. My treat. What do you feel like? My eyes lit up like Christmas lights. Hot pot. Peking duck. Stewed pork. Braised intestines. Sweet and sour pork belly. I trailed off as his handsome face started to darken ominously. Leo's attitude towards me had done a complete 180. A few days later, I had another follow-up. He was working, but I booked Dr. Crane again. Still, feeling hopeful after his recent thaw, I sent him a casual WeChat message beforehand. He was probably busy. I'd arrived at the hospital, about to enter Dr. Crane's office, when my phone finally rang. It was him. Where are you? My hand froze on the doorknob. Oh, at the hospital. Just about to go in for my appointment. Talk later. Fearing Dr. Crane was waiting, I quickly hung up. I pushed the door open and stopped dead. Sitting behind the desk wasn't the petite Dr. Crane, but a large, burly male doctor built like a linebacker. Confused, I heard hurried footsteps behind me. Before I could react, Leo burst into the room, slightly out of breath. The three of us stared at each other. Silence. Catching his breath, Leo addressed the other doctor politely. Sorry, Dr. Matthews. This is actually my patient. I'll take it from here. Then, without consulting me, he firmly steered me out of the room and towards his own office. Inside his familiar consulting room, I rounded on him. I had an appointment with Dr. Matthews. Why did you drag me over here? Dr. Crane isn't in today, he stated simply. Okay, maybe I forgot to double-check the schedule, too focused on avoiding him. But still. So what? So nothing. You were originally my patient anyway. I eyed him suspiciously. If you don't tell me the real reason, I'm leaving. Don't. He grabbed my arm as I turned to go. Huh? His face was actually blushing. He looked away, mumbling awkwardly, okay, fine. I just didn't want another male doctor examining you. It took a few seconds for that to sink in. He was jealous? Possessive? So, basically, I clarified, unable to resist teasing, you didn't want another man touching me? He looked startled by my bluntness, his eyebrows shooting up. He seemed flustered, finally stammering, looking isn't okay either. A wide grin spread across my face. My heart did a happy little dance. The easily flustered Dr. Sterling I'd initially tormented was back. Just as I was about to press my advantage, he changed the subject. Let me buy you lunch. Seeing my hesitation, he added quickly, our hospital cafeteria food is actually pretty good. Well, all right then. He proudly escorted me through the cafeteria line. Everything looked delicious. I eyed the glistening braised pork belly longingly, but mindful of my delicate flower image, I virtuously selected a small portion of stir-fried vegetables. Leo, however, piled his plate high with the pork belly. The serving lady, clearly charmed, gave him an extra-large scoop, meat practically spilling over the sides. She glanced at me, then beamed at Leo. Young man needs his energy. Your girlfriend looks like she could use some fattening up too. I nearly choked on my water. Leo just smiled politely. I braced myself for the correction, the clarification of our non-relationship. Instead, he said smoothly, thank you, Auntie. But my girlfriend isn't fat at all. My heart performed several illegal palpitations. Did he just say, girlfriend? Before I could react, he steered me towards a table. We ate in silence for a few minutes, but my mind was racing. I couldn't focus on my vegetables. Did you just say? I was your girlfriend. He flushed slightly. Oh, that serving lady. She's always trying to set me up with her nieces. Sorry, just used you as a shield. I sighed dramatically. Fine. But still, if he had meant it, I wouldn't have objected. Poppy, he said suddenly, using my name softly. Yeah? I looked up. His eyes were warm, gentle. That look again, the one that felt distinctly boyfriend-like. He smiled. What are you thinking about? I was just wondering if I really am a bit chubby. Leo's lips curved. Not chubby. Maybe a little baby fat. It's cute. My heart executed a triple axel followed by a death spiral. He called me cute? Okay, now. This was it. The moment. He was going to ask me to be his girlfriend. I held my breath waiting. Instead, he picked up a bottle of juice from the tray. Don't just eat. Drink something. Oh! Deflated, I took the bottle. Maybe it really was just casual banter. He tried twisting the cap. Nothing. He tried again, frowning slightly. These particular juice bottles had notoriously tricky caps, like child-proof lids designed by sadists. Without thinking, I snatched the bottle from him, gave it a sharp twist, pop, and handed it back. Leo stared at the open bottle, then at me. Our eyes met. Mortification washed over me. All those weeks of feigning helplessness, pretending I couldn't even open a soda can, busted by a stubborn juice cap. So much for the delicate damsel image. My strong independent woman who can open her own damn jars persona was now firmly cemented. Finally, definite progress. The man started initiating contact. He'd randomly message, asking when my next checkup was. Transparent. Why beat around the bush? But since we were in that delicate, maybe more than friends phase, I couldn't let him get away with it too easily. I played coy. Oh, super busy with work lately. Maybe next week? He wouldn't push. I thought that was the end of it. But one evening, dragging myself home exhausted, I opened my apartment door to find him standing in my kitchen, plating food. I yelped. How did you get in? You told me once, he replied calmly, carrying plates to the table, that you keep a spare key under the welcome mat. Okay, I had told him that. Months ago. Still, before I could launch into a lecture about boundaries, he interrupted smoothly. Stop hovering and wash your hands. Dinner's ready. Wait, there's dinner. Dr. Sterling, handsome and a master chef. He'd made all my favorites. Looks like another calorie surplus day. How did you know I love steamed sea bass? You mentioned it before. Don't you remember? I racked my brain. It must have been ages ago, back when he was playing doctor at my place after the ankle incident. I just casually mentioned it once. He actually remembered? My heart did a little flutter. As we ate, he piled food onto my plate. You have hyperplasia, eat more seaweed. He paused, then added sternly, and I saw all those spicy snacks and hot pot bases in your pantry. I confiscated them. You have too much internal heat. Spicy food is bad for you. He lectured me like a concerned parent while simultaneously forcing me to consume more food than I normally ate in 2 days. I started to pout. He immediately softened. Okay, you can have them back when you're better. Didn't you want to go to the amusement park? How about this weekend? My treat. My spirits lifted instantly. You remembered that too? He smiled faintly. Yep. Also from when I was treating your ankle. You said your friend bailed on you, and you had no one to go with. A warm, fuzzy feeling spread through me. I'd just been rambling, venting random thoughts, but he'd listened, remembered. Being taken seriously, having my casual words valued, it felt incredibly good. We arranged to meet Saturday morning for our amusement park date. I woke up 2 hours early, washed my hair, applied full makeup, the works. He said he'd call when he arrived. I waited, and waited. By 9 a.m., no call. My messages went unanswered. A knot of anxiety tightened in my stomach. I finally called him. It rang for a long time before he picked up, his voice frantic. Poppy, I'm so sorry. I'm rushing to the hospital right now. My mom collapsed. Just got the call. Totally forgot to message you. My disappointment instantly vanished, replaced by concern. Oh my God. Is she okay? Don't worry about me. Just go take care of her. After hanging up, I couldn't sit still. He told me before he was from a single-parent family. His mom collapsing, he must be terrified. Even though there wasn't much I could do, just being there, offering support, might help. I rushed to the hospital. He wasn't answering texts or calls. I went straight to the nurse's station on the relevant floor. The young nurse recognized me, smiling brightly, but her next words sent me reeling. Oh, Dr. Sterling? He went to the cafeteria for lunch with his girlfriend. My brain stalled. Girlfriend? Yeah. He rushed in looking super worried earlier, but then a little while later, I saw him heading to the cafeteria with a really beautiful woman. My heart plummeted. But denial is strong. I had to see for myself, even though I trusted the nurse wasn't lying. Scanning the crowded cafeteria, I finally spotted him in a corner booth. And the nurse hadn't exaggerated. Opposite him sat a stunning woman, tall, model-esque figure, perfect posture, radiating effortless elegance. The kind of woman whose beauty makes you question your own existence. Compared to her, I felt inadequate, plain, but that didn't give him the right to lie. If he was meeting someone else, just say so. Why the elaborate sick mother excuse? Suddenly, I felt incredibly foolish. Just then, he stood up, presumably to get drinks. He turned, and his eyes met mine across the crowded room. He froze, panic flashing across his features. But strangely, in that moment, I felt calm, eerily calm. I walked over to their table, forcing a pleasant smile. Dr. Sterling, didn't you say your mother was ill? Surprised you have time for lunch. My gaze flickered briefly to the beautiful woman, who now looked thoroughly confused. He wrung his hands awkwardly. Poppy, it's not what you think. I let out a cold little laugh. No, I suppose it isn't. Enjoy your meal. Wouldn't want to interrupt. I patted his shoulder lightly, then turned and walked away. He didn't follow me out. A small part of me was relieved. If he had, I might have lost my composure. This way was better. Cleaner. Sometimes, the end arrives not with a bang, but with a quiet, dignified retreat. Back home, I announced my newly single status in my group chat with Maya and other friends, demanding they immediately start setting me up. Operation: Find Poppy a non-lying man. They offered sympathy. I brushed it off. With bravado. Plenty of fish in the sea. I joked and made crass comments, trying to laugh it off. Then, alone in the quiet apartment, the facade crumbled and I cried. Harder than I cried the day he first rejected me. Leo called repeatedly, voice messages piling up. I didn't listen, didn't block him, just muted everything. We hadn't technically been dating, so this wasn't betrayal, not really. Just confirmation of his untrustworthiness. Exhausted from crying, I eventually fell asleep, only to be woken hours later by persistent knocking. Groggily assuming it was another late-night delivery, I stumbled to the door. It was Leo. Seeing my tear-stained face, his eyes filled with pain. "You cried," he whispered, reaching out to gently brush my hair back. "Poppy, I'm so sorry." I slapped his hand away, glaring at him coldly. "What are you doing here?" He launched into a desperate explanation. "I'm sorry. My mom did trick me. The woman you saw, it's her friend's daughter. She's been trying to set us up for ages. I refused to meet her, so Mom faked being sick to get me to the hospital." I listened, piecing it together. The anger slowly subsided, replaced by a weary resignation. "But you could have just told me, Leo. Do you know how worried I was? And then to find you having lunch with her." He fell silent, looking down, shamefaced. "You misunderstood me before," I continued quietly, the old hurt surfacing. "With the dog owner, you assumed I was disrespecting an elder without even asking what happened. Today, you let your mom trick you into a blind date, but you couldn't be honest with me about it." He remained silent. Looking at him, seeing the genuine remorse mixed with his inherent inability to communicate openly, I felt something shift again. Maybe it wasn't just him. Maybe we were both flawed. The attraction was still there, undeniably. But now it felt complicated, tarnished by misunderstandings, resentment, unspoken truths. Could we build something real on such shaky ground? Doubt clouded my heart. The thought of trying again, of potentially facing more disappointment, it felt exhausting. Maybe it was better this way. Friends. Distant friends. Maybe just acquaintances who occasionally liked each other's posts. After that day, I kept my distance. But I couldn't help myself. I still stalked his social media, scanned his posts for any sign of a new woman. If he moved on, maybe I could finally let go completely. End-of-year medical checkup. The breast nodules were slightly worse. Great. See? Even my body missed Dr. Sterling's expert touch. After days of deliberation, I booked an appointment with Dr. Crane. Arriving at the hospital, familiar corridors triggered memories. Places we'd walked, talked, laughed. The air itself seemed faintly scented, with his antiseptic and something else smell. My heart gave an unexpected lurch. The urge to see him was suddenly, overwhelmingly strong. Steeling myself, I pushed open the door to Dr. Crane's office and found Leo Sterling sitting behind the desk. For a second, I thought I'd walked into the wrong room. He saw the confusion on my face and smiled faintly. "Don't worry, you're in the right place." "What? How?" He leaned back in his chair, that charming smile returning fully. "I may have mentioned to all the department staff that if a certain Miss Poppy Hayes came in for an appointment, she was to be directed exclusively to me." My heart felt like it was doing somersaults. "What are you trying to do?" His eyes sparkled, the corners crinkling. "I was wrong before, Poppy. I've done a lot of thinking these past few months. I want to start over. Properly. From the beginning. If you'll let me." His voice was slow, careful, laced with a vulnerability I'd never heard before. He looked genuinely afraid I'd say no. Seeing him like this, so earnest and uncertain, that stubborn knot of hurt inside me finally began to dissolve. He really was just an adorable fool sometimes. "No," I said, sticking out my lower lip in a mock pout. He froze, the color draining from his face. I let him suffer for a second, then grinned. "You forgot. You still owe me a date to the amusement park. Trying to get out of it? Not a chance." Relief washed over his face, followed by a slow, brilliant smile that reached his eyes. He smiled back. Properly this time.